Welcome back to the last installment, for this season anyway, of the hashtag Art and Dance Challenge. So far my format has been to give you some visual inspiration and then tell you to go create something that normally has to do with movement. But for those of you who don't consider yourself as movers, I hope that you felt free enough to take some of those creative prompts and apply them to whatever artistic medium you find most comfortable. Like for the Earth Day Challenge, you could have gone outside and created some sort of earthwork sculpture. Or for Challenge 3, that had to do with Cobra and energy, maybe you feel most comfortable drawing. You could have taken the smooth and sustained versus sharp and sudden and applied that to your line quality while drawing. That being said, today I'm going to go a bit outside of my regular format to include all sorts of forms of art, from dancing to writing to the more visual arts like collage, painting, drawing, things like that. Because today's artistic term is chance. The central component of chance is taking one thing out of context and placing it into another form of context, demonstrating how meaning is fixed to a site, but unfixed when that site is changed. The result is free association. What does that object mean in a new situation, in a new place, in a new setting, in a new order, on a new color, on a new surface? One of the first artists to make randomness or chance a part of their regular work was Jean Hans Arp. He lived from 1886 to 1966. Arp ripped up a failed drawing and saw that the pieces in and of themselves created a whole new composition. He saw chance as a collaborator in the process of making. This was a game changer in the visual arts because up until then, Western art sought to get this perfectionism down and a skilled level of control. Our visual inspiration still does show a level of control with its grid-like pattern. Arp was one of the founders of Dada, a European avant-garde art movement that was born in the early 20th century. This meant he also had a big part in Surrealism, because Surrealism took a lot of inspiration from Dadaism. His work actually forms a major link between these two very important art movements. But chance didn't just stop there. Chance procedure found its way into lots of art forms, not just art movements. Jackson Mac Low was a poet who lived from 1922 to 2004. He used the chance method all the time in his poetry. For him, it was a process that generated a random assortment of words from texts that were already out there. And dancer and choreographer Merce Cunningham, who lived from 1919 to 2009, was one person who really capitalized on chance procedure. Cunningham developed choreography by chance. This method took different parts of choreography or movement and then would rearrange them by chance methods, such as flipping a coin or rolling a dice. To him, using chance procedure in planning his dances opened his mind to new possibilities, not only for movement, but for choreographic elements. Cunningham, besides creating 180 dances, was prolific in writing and drawing. He drew a lot of inspiration from nature, literally drew and got inspiration from nature. I love the idea that chance procedure has spanned all different art forms, from writing to dance to visual arts. So for today's Create, I want you to rip up paper and drop it on the ground. I'm gonna give you a couple of different ways that you could possibly do that. For myself, I first ripped up a piece of paper. Next, on those ripped up pieces of paper, I wrote words on both sides. So I had 6 pieces of paper ripped up, and I had make on the front, joy on the back, create on the front, unfold on the back, when on the front, now on the back, love, action, wonder, take, sunset, daybreak. And when I dropped those pieces, I used those words to just create a little phrase. I then traced those pieces. First, I ripped up paper and dropped it on the ground and traced those shapes. Next, I took the words from those pieces of paper and created a little phrase. So far, my piece of art looks like this. a phrase, and some random shapes on my paper. For my writers out there, maybe that's inspiration enough. For my visual artists out there, maybe that's enough of a launching pad for you. And for my dancers, maybe you could use last week's choreographic term of pathway and dance a pathway around those shapes that are on your piece of paper. This is super open because it's a chance procedure. I hope today's Create inspires all sorts of makers and movers. Since this is the last video of this season, please comment below with other artists that inspire you. I'd love to know what inspires your making. And if you like today's format where I brought in all sorts of forms of art, let me know that too. I hope to resume these videos in the fall. And until then, happy creating, everyone.